the party master on Up and Go, The Bridge, 99 FM.
They call this show a daily dose of positive vibes and energy, live from Kingston, Jamaica to the world. We know that we deliver great lifestyle, entertainment, business, exclusives, and we touch on a number of topical issues almost on a daily basis. And today's no exception, by the way. Today, Thursday, the 30th of September 2021. It's 6:03. Thursday's edition of Up and Go gets started right now. Time for us to look at and share with you headlines across the bridge. And we take up the Jamaica Gleaner, and here's a story that we wanted to share with you. Millions slipped through cracks. Police, NHF, Petrojam flagged for misclassifying emergency contracts. The story reads, the Integrity Commission has flagged 3 critical state agencies for instances in which goods and services procured were misclassified under the emergency contracting methodology. Kevin Stevenson, Director of Investigations at the Integrity Commission, reported that between January 2015 and December 2019, a procurement review showed that the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, the National Health Fund, NHF, and Petrojam committed misclassifications. This meant that a number of items and services procured were not purchased under circumstances for which the use of the emergency contracting methodology is permitted under Section 115 of the Government of Jamaica Handbook of Public Sector Procurement Procedures, GHPP. In his recommendation, Stevenson urged organizations to ensure that all procurement done through the emergency contracting methodology fits squarely within the scope and purpose for the use of that method. And over on the Observer newspaper, more public Wi-Fi hotspots coming. The government is targeting 28 out of 189 selected communities for the deployment of Wi-Fi hotspots by the end of October as it rolls out more public hotspots across the island. All 189 communities are expected to have hotspots fully deployed by July next year. With the phased program, hotspots are expected to be deployed in 32 more communities by January 2022 as the government races to narrow the gap in the digital divide made more apparent by the demands of connection for work and school during the novel coronavirus pandemic. Technology Minister Daryl Vaz announced the rollout of the initiative and a number of other undertakings in connectivity in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. He said the community component of the public Wi-Fi intervention is complementary to the provision of free Wi-Fi at major sites under the Universal Service Fund, USF, which is spearheading this initiative in partnership with the National Works Agency. The expansion of the public Wi-Fi hotspots is being rolled out in 4 phases, with the 4th and final stage being full deployment of the final 69 sites by the end of the first quarter 2022-2023. And having looked at headlines here in Jamaica, let's go further afield to the region. UN to open Trade and Development Conference in Barbados. This is coming from the Caribbean News Global. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres will open the 15th session of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD 15, in Bridgetown, Barbados on October 4, 2021. The conference, hosted by the government of Barbados, will be held in a hybrid format with events in Barbados, Geneva, and across the world until October 7, under the theme From Inequality and Vulnerability to Prosperity for All. The UN Secretary General's opening of UNCTAD's 15th quadrennial session signals the great importance that the United Nations places on addressing the urgent trade and development needs of developing countries as they work to recover from the COVID-19 crisis, said UNCTAD Secretary General Rebecca Greenspan. UNCTAD's 15th opening ceremony on October 4 will feature welcome addresses by President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley of Barbados, and Greenspan, among others. And I think we have enough time to share one more story with you, and we're going all the way over into China. And China's manufacturing industry is in trouble. Says this story. Factories in China are struggling at a time when the world's second largest economy has to contend with yet another concern, a growing power supply crunch. A government survey of manufacturing activity released Thursday, that's earlier today, fell to 49.6 in September, down from 50.1 in August. Any reading below 50 indicates contraction, and in this case, it was the first time the official survey showed activity shrinking since the COVID-19 pandemic began. Factories are getting dinged by the soaring cost of energy, according to China's National Bureau of Statistics, which added Thursday that high-energy businesses have not been prospering. The big picture is that industry was coming off the boil even prior to the latest power shortages, wrote Julian Evans Pichard, senior China economist at Capital Economics, in a Thursday research note. So, not good news coming out of China, as it seems that there's some contraction of their economy, and a lot of it has to do with the supply of energy and power. And they are one of the big economies of the world. The world's second biggest economy, right? Yeah, so when they have a problem, it affects the world, in truth and in fact. All right, so those were the headlines across the bridge. Brings our time to 20 minutes and 30 seconds after the hour of 6 o'clock. It's a Thursday, and we're here with you on Up and Go all the way till 10 o'clock this morning. Did you guys see the video of the young man who was delivering food and decided to venture across the gully on Charlton Avenue? Because I recognize it well. I drive through that area quite often. And there are many times that I've actually gone there and turned back, and I'm driving a vehicle. He's riding a bike, heavy water coming through the gully, and he decides to venture across. Well, he didn't make it, and he was washed away. Literally, the video is out there. It's gone viral, and you see him being washed away. He, as far as we know, was rescued. And we'd like to say hello to the young man who came to his assistance. I think I saw something. Somebody was saying that he actually was stopped in the gully by a vehicle that was already washed away. I think they say it was a Suzuki, and so there were not one but two people who decided to venture. We just want to put it out there. When you see these, we're having this terrible weather and the gullies are flooded. Do not try to cross it. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. You could lose your life. You could easily lose your life. And so this is one that I'm sure will teach a lot of persons lessons in relation to this. When there's bad weather, man, don't try to cross these flooded pathways, right?
You know, Richie, that I saw that video, and let me tell you, it's very close to home with me, because that happened to me. I don't know if you know that fording up by Queensboro.
Yeah, oh yes,
right?
I know that one, yeah?
Yeah, it happened, well, I was not driving. I was actually dozing off in...
being a passenger in a vehicle?
Being a passenger in a van.
Wow.
And it was in the night. We were coming from racing.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, just the noise of the van shutting off woke me up. And the back of the van was like just, sliding. Drifting. And let me tell you, my bro is a quick restart.
Yeah.
And out of there.
Fortunately.
So let me tell you.
It must have been a frightening experience.
What?
Yo.
Listen, I didn't sleep the night.
Oh, boy.
Let me tell you.
Man, oh, man. So what's your word to people who try to cross these fordings when they're flooded?
Turn back.
Turn back. Simple. Yeah.
The water, let me tell you, you can't judge it. You look at it and it's flowing and you say, no, man, that look like I can't go over it, man. Let me tell you, it's powerful.
Yeah.
It's going to hit you down there and that's it.
Trust me. Fortunately, these individuals who were affected up there in the Charlton Avenue area were saved, and we want to commend again those who were involved in their rescue. I don't know if my friend had ordered food, but he sent me a post with a video, and he says, Chano, no dinner tonight.
No.
It reminds me of a story overseas, they say that someone operates a funeral parlor, and there was an accident. His company was called, and he turned up at the site of the accident, and he's into the business of taking care of the dead. And he looked at the people. He realized that one of the persons turned out to be his son. He says to the people there, "Put my son in my van, take him to the hospital, take the other ones to the morgue." Because that's business for him. My very special guest at this time is best described as a colorist and finishing editor. He is affiliated with the company Frame of Reference, and he recently shared on Instagram his latest involvement in a highly anticipated and well-received Netflix documentary. Did you hear me? The one entitled Britney versus Spears, which was in fact released on September 28th. And Twain Richardson is my guest at this time. First of all, welcome, Twain, and congratulations.
Morning, Richard. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. Good seeing you.
Yeah, man. Been a while, eh?
Been a while, yeah.
How's the family?
Good. Family's doing well.
Best regards to all of them. Now, Twain, this is a moment that we want to really, really celebrate. And before we get to the meat of the matter, I want you to tell me how you got involved in this whole business of becoming a finishing editor and a colorist, and also to tell us what exactly that entails.
So the story is a very long one. In short, so when I left high school, I actually wanted to be a civil engineer, but mom couldn't afford to send me to university. So I got a job as a data entry clerk.
Okay.
And so at the company is a media company, and so the guys there, they were showing me how to use the cameras there. So I was having a conversation with my mom, letting her know about it, and she was explaining to me that, that's maybe a career path that you could take.
Okay.
Now, I still wanted to do my civil engineering, so she kept asking me about it, kept mentioning it to me, and to get her to stop nagging me about it, I decided that she found out that CPTC actually offered a certificate course in production, and so she was trying to get me to do the course, and to get her to stop nagging me about it. I said, okay, I'm going to do the course. Now, when I went and did the course, they bring you through the 3 stages of a production, which is pre-production, production, and post-production.
Okay.
And when I got to the post-production part, I actually fell in love. Did the course, and then they had a editing course, which I decided to do, which was a couple months after.
At CPTC as well?
Yes, at CPTC as well. At this time, I was actually working at Electoral Office of Jamaica.
Yes.
I won a competition to co-host a live event on Hype TV with Nikki Z.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Queen Nikki.
So when I went on that show, I said to the owner of Hype TV at the time that, I applied for a camera position there, and he said that he doesn't want a camera person, he wants an editor.
Okay.
So I said, well, I know how to edit, which wasn't actually true.
Quite factual.
No, he's going to find out. And so actually I quit my job at Electoral Office the Friday, started working at Hype TV on the Monday. Didn't know how to edit, but I fell in love with it at the time.
Was that with Johan?
Yes, with Johan.
Yes.
But I fell in love with post-production, and I decided that, yes, I wanted to do it.
He allowed you time to grow and to learn and
yes.
stuff. That's an interesting story. And then, as they say, the rest is
the
history.
The rest is history, yes.
So now the editor, we can understand, but when you now bring in the whole matter of being a colorist,
yes,
I need to get a clear understanding of that.
Okay, so in layman's term, the colorist makes it look pretty. I mean, it's more technical than that, but usually with these high-end cameras, they usually shoot what they call a flat image.
Okay.
And that gives you more dynamic range in the image, so that you can pull out certain colors.
Yes.
So when, for instance, you're watching a movie, you see it has like a blue tone or a yellow tone or an orange tone.
Yeah.
That's the colorist's
job.
Yeah,
At
job.
work,
Adding his
flair.
Yeah.
Yes. Got you. Makes it look pretty.
Makes it look pretty.
Or sometimes dull if that is what
sometimes dull, yes, if that's what they're going for.
Right.
And also, sometimes they use color to actually evoke certain emotions. So like, for instance, in a scary movie, they'll go with more like some green undertones, because that, in your mind, it makes you feel scared. Sometimes if they want to emphasize that somewhere is cold, they go with a blue tone. So it evokes certain emotions. A lot of the times when you watch movies, it doesn't have a certain color for just having the color. It's for a reason to
create
evoke
a certain mood.
emotions. Yes.
Interesting stuff. All right, 6 minutes after 7 o'clock. Twain Richardson is my guest. Now, I want to get on. I know that my producer was quite surprised because we wanted to find out whether or not you had to be doing the convincing of say, your mom to allow her to sort of encourage your work with you going into this direction, but she was the one that was
She was the one who
she was the one. Now, here comes this big documentary that we all are celebrating, Britney versus Spears. And this debuted on Netflix,
yes.
on the 28th of September.
Yes.
Twain, we don't like to make a big thing of a little thing, but we like to make a big thing of a big thing. And this is big. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Britney Spears is definitely in the news right now. I think yesterday she had a victory where her father was removed as her conservator.
Yes.
And she cried, we understand, when the announcement was made. And she's very much in the news, valued at about $60 million. And because of some issues with mental health in previous years.
Yes.
She was controlled pretty much by her dad and others around her to ensure that I suppose her wealth was secure and that she was okay. Yes. So you got sight of this story, and then what?
Yeah, so how I actually came onto this project is, so I met a fellow Jamaican living in New York about 7 years ago, named Johan Brown. So he's a colorist living in New York.
Okay.
And so, we got to talking and we started doing some projects remotely with each other. So I would usually, from here, jump onto his computer in New York, do some finishing editing. And what a finishing editor is that pretty much, so in editing, you have offline editing and you have online editing.
Okay.
So the offline editing is where they build the story, where they go in and, they sit and they form the story.
Okay.
Then now, as the online editor, you take that and you rebuild it for the colorists. Usually when they're doing the offline, it's with smaller files that the computer can manage.
Okay.
And then when it gets to the online stage, now it's with the actual camera original files. So the job of the online editor or finishing editor is to rebuild that offline so that the colorist can do his work.
Yeah.
And then you take that now from the colorist, master it for the different platforms.
Okay.
So we've been doing work together for a few years. He got brought onto a documentary called I'll Be Gone in the Dark last year for HBO / Story Syndicate. He brought me on that documentary. The producers loved how we worked together. So they brought us onto another documentary again called All in the Fight for Democracy, which was actually shortlisted for an Oscar this year.
Wow.
Yes.
What?
So they loved how we worked together on both those documentaries. So they brought us onto another documentary again this year called Becoming Castu for National Geographic. And then, so the Britney documentary was coming up to the stage now where it was moving on to the finishing stages. And they brought us onto it. And so, that's all.
Wow. So this is major. What has happened in terms of your recognition, your career since this especially with this one, which has gotten so much attention?
So I expected for it to have a big impact, but honestly, I never expected it. I've gotten a lot of calls. I've been getting calls. I've been getting emails. I've done a few interviews. Again, I'm doing this one now. I have about 3 more interviews for the rest of the day.
Wow.
I have another interview tomorrow. So yeah, since actually saying that I've worked on the documentary, I've got a lot of congratulations from persons I work with throughout the years as well. So
okay, great. So when we look at the documentary, what aspect of it are we going to be able to say? Well, that was Twain's work.
Well, everything from the start to the end. Everything. The role of the finishing editor, as I say, is to rebuild what was done in the offline, which is from start to finish. So the minute you start watching the documentary, you're watching my work going all the way down to the end.
What aspects of Britney's challenges were actually captured in this documentary?
So it captured the fight that she was having with her father.
Jamie,
yes. How she's trying to get out of
the conservatorship.
Yes. And there's some other personal stuff that it touches on as well.
I wonder if Brittany has seen it as yet. She must have.
Yes, I figure she must have seen it.
This is big news. Now that you're getting all of these calls and your name is out there like this, although you're right here in a small Caribbean country, what other projects are you most likely to be working on in the near future?
Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that there's more Netflix documentaries or series in the pipeline.
Yes.
But currently, so my company, Frame of Reference, which August this year marked 9 years since we've been in business, which I must say we are the only post-production company in the English-speaking Caribbean.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes. And so when I said post-production, you have a lot of production companies that do production and they'll do some editing, but those aren't considered a post-production company. We only focus on just post-production.
Okay.
So especially,
especially here.
So since we've actually been approached to do a documentary on reggae music, which I can't say much more other than that. So there's that one that we have in the pipeline. We have a documentary on the iguanas in Jamaica that we're actually finishing up at the moment. And then I actually have another meeting this morning to discuss another project, another major project, which that one I definitely can't say anything about. So.
And the list goes on and on. Twain, we're proud of you, man. We're really proud of you. For a young person listening to us right now, as many do, who would love to get into this era of endeavor, where should that individual actually start?
So I would say that actually, fortunately now, we're in an age where you can find a lot of information on the internet. How I got a lot of my connections abroad is actually through Twitter. I joined Twitter in the early stages. I found out that there was actually a post-production community, outside of Jamaica. And so that's how I actually got a lot of my connections, meeting people, talking with them. So I'd say firstly is, go on the internet. You want to do some editing, you can find editing tutorials on YouTube.
Okay, really?
Yes, you can go on YouTube. I'd say you have a phone now. You can shoot something with your phone. A lot of the phones have actually, some small apps on them that you can use to edit.
Okay.
When I was interested in editing, I used to just edit photos. I mean, I'm a family using Windows Movie Maker.
Okay.
So I'd say just go ahead. There's YouTube. Find the editing tutorials. Find the color tutorials on there. Practice. Just try. And again, I mean, if you really want something, you have to go after it. I quit my job and I never knew what I was getting into. Yeah, exactly. I took the chance.
Look at you now.
Yeah, it's
a really great story. Is the book coming as well? You should consider that.
Funny enough, so a good friend of mine, Shax, she always saying that, you should, tell your story, write it. So,
that's being considered. All right. Great. Yes. Wonderful. All right. Well, listen, it's great talking with you. Again, Twain Richardson is a colorist and finishing editor and was very, very involved in the production of the Netflix documentary, Britney versus Spears, all about the challenges that Britney Spears, who's very much in the news, has been going through. And it is being viewed by millions of people around the world and will continue to be viewed by many. Thank you, Twain, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations once again, bro. Proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Right now, our time is 3 minutes on the downside of 8 o'clock. On this beautiful Thursday morning, we have with us at this time a very patient minister, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment, and Climate Change. We're always very pleased to have him join us on our program. Good morning, Minister.
Morning, great one. How are you?
Not too bad at all. How about yourself? How have you been?
I'm giving thanks. It's challenging times, but I'm alive. I have breath. That means that I have an opportunity to change it.
All right. I remember when you were given this appointment as Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment, and Climate Change, many people were saying it is a super ministry. There are several areas that you're taking care of, Minister. How are you meeting the challenges? I mean, it's a lot of work, I suspect.
It is a lot of work. I mean, right now, there's a lot of whole of government focus on the COVID-19 pandemic. And so in terms of allocation, that we've had some constraints in that regard, which has impacted how we deploy activities. But generally we've been able to really push forward with our legislative agenda. And you'll see that Jamaica is readying itself to really be a strong participant in the Conference of Parties coming up in November, which focuses on climate change. And so there's a lot that we have to do. We are just focusing our attention on developing now the framework to really start implementation at a bold level.
Okay, I want to focus right here now on the launch of the Jamaica National Determined Contribution (NDC) implementation plan. What can you tell us about that?
So the NDC plan is a plan that delineates Jamaica's commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. What that means is our commitment to do the right thing to protect the planet, to stop burning fossil fuels, stop the kinds of activities that are leading to the rising temperatures and the rising sea level. And even though those things in isolation may not seem like they are catastrophic, the rising temperatures and rising sea levels have significant consequences on the weather events, on the intensity of the weather events, and the impact our ability to live on this planet. And I know when I say it sometimes to people listening, it sounds like a movie. But, if there's ever a time when we can connect that what seems to be a movie is actually the reality, it's right now. Because we used to watch movies about pandemics, and now we are living in a pandemic where we have to be wearing masks and physically distancing and so. So this is an opportune time for people to recognize the importance of the messaging around changing their own behavior. So Jamaica, yesterday we launched our NDC implementation plan, which sets out how we are now going to structure our public and private sector operations to reach these targets. And we've focused on two areas in terms of updating our plan. One is the energy sector, to really drive renewables now and to increase or reduce rather our dependency on fossil fuels. And two is the land use change and forestry sector, because you know that our trees are perhaps the greatest or one of the greatest ways to attack the climate crisis, because the trees absorb carbon, they give us the oxygen we need to breathe, they hold our soil together to protect from land slippage. So they do so much for us. So those are the areas that we are focusing on to increase our ambitious targets as a country. And we move towards COP with Jamaica having a loud voice to get the money that is needed to build up our strength and capacity now in terms of seawall defense and other things that we have to do for us to be able to withstand the hurricanes and the flooding and the drought that is already on its way.
Yes. Still looking at matters to do with your portfolio, Minister Colonel Charles Jr. You recently shared that a Notabase, the Hurricane Sandy relocation project has moved to what is now its third phase. Could you share with us some details on what that entails?
Yeah, so most Jamaicans will remember that I believe it's in 2012 we had the Hurricane Sandy, which really caused some complete disaster for about 40 families who lost their homes in the Anata Bay area. So we have a phased approach in our ministry. We've carried out phase one, which was over $50 million. We carried out phase two, which was over $12 million. And in those phases, we had a lot of work on the roadways, the drainage systems, curb and channels, to relocate its families to a safe and sustainable space.
Yes.
Now, we signed the third phase of the project, which is going to facilitate the completion of the access road to the development, construct the stormwater drainage system, and construction of the subdivision access roadway. And this is, again, us moving towards a development process that acknowledges the need for it to be sustainable, because any investment that does not include sustainability is a wasted investment.
Yes.
All right. So we are advancing, the relocation. and we do so based on the empirical data that we get from ArtPen. And, this is one of the communities that we're looking on. There are others that we're also looking on. It costs a lot of money, though.
I can imagine.
We are promoting better planning so that we don't have to relocate in the future. We are working with the architects, the engineers. I had a meeting recently with the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce so that we can strengthen our partnerships across Jamaica so that when we plan better, we avoid the issues and the consequences that lead to us having greater expense.
Do you have you set a date when you hope to complete this project?
Well, I know that the contractor has committed to doing it in a timely manner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say the specific date. I don't have the details in front of me, but I know that they are starting immediately to get going with the phase 3. And I don't think that phase 3 is going to be a long phase because, again, it should be one of the shorter phases of the 3.
Okay. Minister, climate change poses an extraordinary threat to the planet and its inhabitants. Can you share with us this morning some of the climate change initiatives that we can expect coming from your ministry?
So you know that we have been talking about the tree planting initiative. That's one of the big initiatives. You know that we've been speaking also about the e-mobility project. I think I spoke to you about it.
Yes.
A new exciting venture that is part of it in terms of the policy is driven by my ministry and another part driven by the ministry in charge of energy, where we are putting together a multi-stakeholder approach to creating the environment where electric vehicles can now be integrated into our systems in Jamaica. And the goal is to reduce dependence on the fossil fuels. All of us who live in Jamaica have been in traffic and have been choked by the black smoke coming out of buses or old vehicles. That's not just killing your nose, it's killing you inside and it is killing our environment. So that's a large initiative. We're also moving towards initiatives like the carbon trading initiative, where we're going to try to create a better mechanism where we can partner with countries to get that financing from them in the carbon trading system to be able to drive sustainable projects in Jamaica. And there are several more. I mean, we have solar energy projects. We have the largest wind energy project in the English-speaking Caribbean. We have water sustainability projects. The Essex Valley project is arising. It's the origin of it is from climate change discussions. So a lot of what you're seeing in various sectors that is reflecting sustainability, we are the ones in the climate change division that initiate it, that go out and seek the funding, and then we divert it now to the various ministries for them to implement. Mm-hmm. So you'll see many, many projects, but you'll see it across ministries, not just in our ministry.
Okay. Speak to the average man out there right now, or woman for that matter, Minister, and share with us how ordinary Jamaicans can, in fact, help to combat the effects of climate change. What can we do?
The first thing is to inform yourself. That is why every chance I get, I congratulate you for being one of the persons in media that is a champion and a leader in informing people with accurate information for them to change their behavior. What we're doing now is the first thing. Mm-hmm. Get up, get the knowledge, pass on the knowledge. Secondly, in your own home, conserve. Turn off the taps, turn off the lights. Be very deliberate in what you purchase, in where you purchase it from, and make decisions that will show that you appreciate and that you want to encourage sustainable living. Introduce rainwater harvesting as a way of life in how you carry out your home activities, and also, if you're a farmer, your agricultural activities. You can help by being involved in a beach cleanup. You can help by doing some recycling in your school. You can help by, selecting a particular type of construction practice when you want to build your home, and the materials that you use as well. So there's several things that we can do in our individual life. There's also a lot that you can do as a company. And so we are, through our large initiative, Renew Jamaica, speaking a lot now with big business, with corporate Jamaica, so that they incorporate into their own practices as corporate citizens the kind of operations that reflect now an understanding of how to use less paper, how to create less waste. How do we move towards a zero carbon neutrality, where that is what we want if we are going to be able to achieve keeping the degrees below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Okay. And remember, if we go over 1.5, we may not be able to have this radio conversation.
Yes. All right. Very important points being made. Yes. Thank you so much for that, Minister Colonel Charles Jr. I think we have enough time just to get one more in. And, I like to ask how things are at the constituency level. We know that the government is on a massive vaccination drive. Are people, are your constituents receptive? And what can you tell us about the vaccination process in your constituency?
Well, you know that I'm active. So we have, every week we have done a vaccination blitz. We had our last blitz in Longville Park recently. I think it was Monday, actually.
Okay.
Up to 300 persons. And today I head down to the constituency to carry out another one of my school resource activities. So I'll be handing out, I think it's 30 tablets and 20 book vouchers to students. And we'll do this again next week, and then we'll do it again in November. So we have continued to try to stick to the protocols and to encourage our residents to get out and get vaccinated. We do have some areas where there's still a lot of resistance because of misinformation. So I use this platform to, again, encourage people. Inform yourself. Don't listen to the people behind you, beside you, in front of you. You do the reading. And if you don't have access to anything to read, go and speak to a doctor or a medical professional. If you get sick right now, it's the same person that you would rely on to tell you what medicine to take. Why you don't think you want to listen to them now, all of a sudden? Right? So, my advice is to everyone is let us see how we can move this needle forward, because the faster we all get vaccinated and protect ourselves, is the faster we can get our kids back into school, we can get back into work, and we can hopefully get back to a new normal.
The message is clear. I thank you so very much for your time, for your kind words, and for the information that you shared with us this morning, Honorable Colonel Charles Jr. Continue to do well on behalf of the country. Best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you, great one. All the best to you and to all of your listeners.
Much appreciated. And we're going to be joined now by the CEO of Wisynco Group Limited, who will be talking to us about a number of approaches they're taking at that company. Especially as they try to navigate through this pandemic. They have taken a strategic approach to be proactive about the vaccine management in the workplace. And we understand that their position at this time is that it will play its part to assist its team members to easily and efficiently access COVID-19 vaccines. We're joined now by Andrew Mahfood, CEO of Wisynco Group Limited. Good morning, Andrew. How are you doing?
Morning, Richard B. Very well. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for joining us as well, Mr. Mahfood. Now, we understand that you have done a number of things at Wisynco in recent times, including a vaccination drive which was held on the 7th of September. Can you say this morning about how many of your employees were vaccinated, and give us a bit of an overview as to whether or not you reap the results that you hoped for on that particular drive?
Okay, Richard. Basically, we had approximately 400 members of our team receive their first vaccination at that vaccination day, and it certainly proved to us that bringing the vaccines to our team, as well as speaking to our team about the positives of the vaccine and why they should get vaccinated, and the convenience of having it on compound here at Wisynco, was certainly a milestone to get a good chunk of our team vaccinated.
All right. Who are some of your partners on that particular drive?
That was our Cinco-sponsored vaccination day through the PSVI, the Private Sector Vaccination Initiative.
Yes.
We also extended an invitation to associate companies in the area. I know Sherwin-Williams came over. I know Food for the Poor, their team in Spanish Town, some of their members came over, and some members from Jamaica producers down in Newport West came over as well.
So for an occasion like that, did you also get the Ministry of Health involved in the procedures?
Oh, yes. I know the Ministry of Health was here. Their team as well advised in terms of setting up, helping us to make sure all protocols were followed. And we had certain spaces. We had registration. We had holding area for candidates to be vaccinated before they went into the vaccination area. And then we had an area where they were given their vaccine, and then where they hydrated and were observed for approximately 15 minutes before they were released.
Okay. So it pretty much took a similar format to what would happen at the regular vaccination sites that the ministry would have been carrying out across the island.
Yes, absolutely, and no difference.
No
difference at all. Do
you plan to do more like these? And if so, are dates yet set?
Yes, we're having another vaccination day on November 7th. That day will provide the first vaccination candidates with the opportunity to get their second, as well as we have got to get more of our team members vaccinated. Vaccination is the only way to prevent death from COVID, and it can also it will prevent hospitalization as well for those that are fully vaccinated. So we've got to get our team vaccinated.
And that would be Sunday, November 7th. I take it, right?
Well, no. If it's a Sunday, then we'll have to look at that date. I heard it was November the 7th. But maybe it's the 5th or the 8th.
Oh, okay. Because I looked at the calendar and I see where the
yes,
7th.
I'm looking at that now.
Yeah, it's actually a Sunday. So you'll get that date, and you can allow us to share it with our listeners when it's confirmed. All right?
Absolutely.
Andrew, what recommendations and policies do you think at this time companies need to establish around employee vaccination?
That's a really good question, Richie, and it's something that I'm seeing more and more companies go the mandate. I'm seeing more countries taking harder stances on it, and I believe as a nation, it would have been great if we had just come together, or as a world, and said, look, these vaccinations are mandatory. And the reason I say that is when we were all youngsters going to prep school, I have marks in my arms from vaccinations that I got when I was born. I have another one, I think, when I was at school for like polio drops. Measles, mumps, and rubella, I think that vaccine was for. And we all never had, this vociferous anti-vax type conversation. It was, this is what you need, and we all got it. We're all fine. And the science on the COVID vaccination is proven safe, and it's the only way to prevent hospitalization, Richard. And when I say hospitalizations, I have witnessed and I've seen some of our members succumb to COVID, and I've seen some members come extremely close to losing them in ICU. And I only wish that I could have gotten them vaccinated sooner.
Yes. I got you. Andrew, there might be other companies who are contemplating going a similar route like Wisynco in terms of bringing the vaccination drive onto your properties and your compound. What sort of advice or encouragement would you give them this morning?
I would certainly encourage it. I think the convenience of bringing vaccinations to your team, where they don't have to go in bus, get in the buses, go on the long lines, get in the congestion, speaking to them about the positives of the vaccine, it is one way to jumpstart this hurdle that we have in getting our country vaccinated. And I think I've seen where the Ministry of Health has opened up more vaccination sites through some pharmacies, through the medical centers. And I encourage that. Overseas, citizens in countries make appointments at pharmacies. They go to their pharmacies. They get vaccinated. So I think we have to open the availability. I've seen also the bus, the Ministry of Health bus going into the communities. We need more of that stuff. We need more communication. And Wisynco has been partnering so much with the Ministry of Health in providing free water, our water brand, for hydration at the vaccination centers as well.
Yes. In general, how would you say that you've been able to navigate through this pandemic, though, especially as it relates to the workforce? People are implementing work from home procedures. Hasn't it been very challenging, Andrew Mahfood?
It has been very challenging. It has also opened our eyes. And Wisynco, in every one of our communications to our shareholders in the last 4 quarters, have emphasized the importance of our frontline teams, our production teams, our operations and distribution team, and our sales and merchandising team in the field. I mean, this is about 1,000 members of our team who are in the trenches, on the road. We have to provide them and with personal equipment to keep them safe. Mm-hmm. They have gone above and beyond in keeping us engaged with our customers, keeping our products flowing into the trade, packing them on shelves, etc. They have been so critical to our success this past year. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the work from home, for those that have been able to work from home, because some of our production, the team I just mentioned, they can't really work from home. There's some back office functions that can be done from home, but I think work from home, while we've seen positives from it, and some of our members do like it. One of the things that we are noticing is that the engagement that we used to have, that bonding and that camaraderie and those face-to-face meetings are things that we do miss. And the sooner that we all get vaccinated, I think that will bring back that face-to-face, albeit cautiously.
Yes.
But it's something that we look forward to. We face-to-face camaraderie, mm-hmm. lunch, walking, talking is what we think is all about.
Absolutely. I want to say big ups to the members of the Wisynco family, many of whom we interact with at different levels. And I'm sure that you're proud of many of them who would have allowed you through this time, Andrew, to either minimize or even eliminate supply chain issues so that these wonderful products that you have can actually get out there in the marketplace, eh?
Boy, Richie, I'm going to tell you, I am so proud of this team. I care so much about our members of our team, and that's why when that feeling when I have lost team members mm-hmm. because they were not vaccinated, I actually felt responsible. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm going to continue preaching to our team, bleating on them that they will have to get vaccinated. We have to get vaccinated because the last thing I want is for another member of our team to get put in ICU, and we cannot help them once they're in ICU.
Yes. Got you. Loud and clear.
It is the worst feeling ever, I must tell you.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank you for your time this morning and the information that you shared. Please give my regards to William and the other members of the team, and all the best to you, Andrew. Thanks for talking with us.
I certainly will, Richard. Thank you very much for having us, and everyone get vaccinated as soon as you can, please.
And remember to let us know what the final date is in November for the next drive, okay?
I will, Richie.
All right. Thanks much. Andrew Mahfood, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Wisynco Group Limited, our very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, we now speak with a gentleman who was, in fact, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. But he was raised in a Jamaican household, and there was a whole lot of Jamaican music around him, which influenced him into getting into music. And now he's on his way to greatness. As a matter of fact, that forms a part of his name because we call him Rohan Da Great. He's my guest at this time. Good morning, Rohan. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm feeling wonderful. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Have you attained greatness yet, or is greatness just beckoning? Or give us an idea. What's up with this great part of your name?
Definitely. I feel like I've definitely achieved a lot of greatness. I believe that, you have to manifest certain things. So when I called myself Rohan Da Great, I knew that I would achieve greatness and I'll eventually leave a great legacy. So the greatness has started, but there's still a lot more work to do, and a lot more great things to do.
So it's a case where you're kind of like speaking it into being then, Rohan Da Great.
Exactly. And one thing my father always told me, my father Curry Dunn, he's a dancehall artist. One thing he always told me was like, yo, Rohan, like, you're special, you're different, you're going to be great. And I always heard that coming up. And my parents always expected great things from me, whether through music or academics or whatever. So I just knew whatever I put my mind to, I would be great in it. So, yeah, I'm speaking it into existence, but it's something that my parents already started speaking to existence for me before I even did it myself.
Your dad is Curry Dunn, who was quite involved in the music industry. Did he have a very strong influence on you getting into music?
Yes, definitely. As a child, you always want to be like your father. You know what I mean? If your father's a fireman, you want to be a fireman. But my father, he was doing his music and performing, and I loved the respect that he got from our community, from the entertainment scene and everything. And I was so proud of him, and I said I wanted to be just like him. And he realized that, and what he did was he sat me down and he taught me how to build lyrics and just make sure I have substance in my lyrics. And he also let me know, hey, if you're going to do this, you have to be good. You can't just do it just to do it. So he trained me from an early age and, even took me to the studio, took me to live performances. And I'm so grateful that he did that because, when I got into it on my own, I was already polished and I already, had shared stage with some big people and, earned my chops as an artist.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Not every father encourages his children to necessarily follow in his footsteps. I remember I had a conversation with my sons, and I said, the closest you're going to go to get to radio is to know that your father was in it.
Right.
But
right.
Don't worry about that. That's an aside. Let's get back to the meat of the matter. Now, would you consider yourself and the music that you're putting out, are you dancehall? Are you reggae? Are you crossover? Can we even categorize your music?
Right. You know what's funny? Like, me and my team, we sit down all the time and we try to put a label on it, but it's hard. It's like, I feel like I'm a mixture of all of those things because, of course, dancehall and reggae is my foundation. But growing up in Brooklyn, New York, I'm exposed to hip-hop. I'm exposed to R&B, pop, and I explored the artistic sides of all of those things. So not only do I do dancehall, I do hip hop as well. I actually started as a hip hop artist before doing dancehall, and I also do like pop, EDM, and all those things. So it's hard to put it in one box because I do all of them, and I've been told that I'm equally good at all of them. So I would say I'm just a mixture. I'm just an artist, good artist.
Do you have a preference though, Rohan?
Okay.
Truth be told, yes.
Truth be told, for me, with the hip-hop, when I could do like some complex metaphors and lyricism, that's my personal favorite for listening, for my pleasures. But for the greater good of the music, like what I feel is the better music for the masses and what I feel more people can relate to, it would be the dancehall.
Okay. What projects are you working on now? What are your new projects? Give us a little overview as to what's going on with you on the recording side.
Right. So on the recording side, I'm working on my follow-up EP to Six Love, which is entitled Relations. So I'm complete with that now. I'm just mixing it, and we're waiting for a release date. We were going to hold it back a little bit, but the single Fallen has been doing so great that, we figure we want to strike while the iron is hot. So that may be coming out sooner than later.
Fallen, you mentioned. What can you tell us about this track?
Wow, this is actually my favorite single that I've released to date, and it seems like it's the fans' favorites too, because it actually made #1 on the iTunes charts, debuted #1, and at this moment it has charted in over 50 countries on Apple Music and has made it to Apple Music's actual official editorial reggae and dancehall playlist. So far, this is my biggest single so far when it comes to streaming and actually charting on iTunes.
Now, that is a remarkable achievement, and it's not like it's been out there for a long time. This song was fairly recently released, right?
Yeah, it was released September 10th.
September 10th. So this is very encouraging. How far do you think this one will go, or how far do you hope that it will go?
I think it's going to take the world by storm because, as you were saying, it's fairly new, and for it to reach so far so quick, that's a good indication that it's going to go a lot further. We're actually starting our U.S. radio campaign, so I'm hoping to make the top 100 with that. We're crossing our fingers, maybe even top 50 on U.S. radio. And we just wanted to spread throughout the world. And I think this can be, I've been laying the foundation for a while. I had a lot of great singles. But I think this could be that spark that can make things just catch a fire worldwide. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited about it.
It is obvious that the pandemic is not slowing you down at all, Rohan Da Great.
Yeah, you know what? You have to find ways to stay, to get the music out. So even last year when it first started, I had to change my game plan with Six Love, and I did things I wasn't normally doing, a lot of freestyle videos, those things to really capture the fans who are at home, not doing anything. And this year the climate's a little bit different. It's open some places here, but I am not fully comfortable going out, performing. I want to keep my fans safe and myself safe. So, I had to go back to the drawing board and figure out ways how to stay current and give the fans the music. So the pandemic has been a gift and a curse because it limits stuff, but it also forced me to be more creative and to think out the box and really use my brain on how to market my music. So.
All right. Well, good luck going forward. How can people actually find you on social media?
Yeah, well, my most active platform is Instagram. My Instagram is Rohan Da Great MC, and that's my Twitter as well. That's ROHAN DAGREATMC. And also, you can reach me on my website, www.rohandagreat.com. I'm very active on there as well. If I get messages, I respond to supporters, fans, people want to collaborate, anything. I'm not one of those artists that don't check their DMs. So if you reach out to me on either the IG or the website, I'll hit you back and I'll start a conversation. I love to talk to people, fans, every supporters, everyone. So if you're listening and you want to link, just link.
Oh, you mean? Nothing wrong with that. And by the way, it is Rohan D.A., so it's Da Great, all right?
Yeah.
Not T-H-E, it's Rohan Da Great, D-A-G-R-E-A-T. Rohan, listen, man, it's great talking with you. We wish you continued success with all of your projects. Happy for you that Falling is already doing so well for you, and we hope that it continues to climb. And we look forward to getting more of your music. We're gonna play Falling right now, so the listeners can get a chance to hear it. Any parting shot? What do you want to say to your fans out there before you go?
All right, definitely. I just want to let the fans know that whatever you want to do, I know it's a tough time in the world right now, but whatever you want to do or whatever your dreams is, this is the time to chase it. Don't be afraid. Just go after it full speed, and you can achieve anything you put your mind to.
All right, well said. Take care. Have a great day. Great talking with you, all right?
Richie B, the party master, on Up and Go, The Bridge, 99 FM.